I rolled the fenders again, and it touches right here a little bit still when I turn, right there. If I turn just right, this is what it looks like. And I can get my hand under there when it's at that kind of an angle in a turn. So I think I got the back tires clearing. I'm gonna jack up the other side and see how it does, just in case the rear end shifted. But that's quite a bit of leaning. And I could still drop this down, but I think it would make it so that this hits even sooner. Thinking about welding some perches onto the top of the axle where the stops are to limit the travel so it can't go that far down. Alright, I didn't go high enough on the last one. That tire over there is off the ground, and I can still get my finger in this. So I must be hitting some pretty hard bumps to get that to bottom out like that. So yeah, the noise is all coming from right there. So I think I'm gonna leave them on and just avoid riding in the rain. I don't know why I can't use this one. Doesn't have any pads in it. That's probably aluminum. It's probably a lot lighter. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't try it. Might be thinner, I don't know. I have a problem with the ball joint trying to hit right there, but maybe I just use this strut too. Alright, I got the turbo kit all out and unboxed, and I'm checking everything out, and I think the first thing I'm going to do is the oil drain. I want to figure out exactly what parts I have and where I want to put the holes in the oil pan. This is the drain kit, and it looks like also the supply kit. That's probably the supply line. That's probably the supply side. That's the drain side. So it looks like they only gave me one of these. That'll probably, and I might need to find a gasket somewhere in this kit or make one. Or maybe they want me to use silicone. And that obviously screws on right there. And that's the length of hose they gave me. So I might have to make 2 holes in the oil pan. This is the other kit right here to make this work. I'll go over some of this stuff. This is the cold side stuff. That's the cooler. I got a regulator here with a gauge and fittings to do I don't know what with. I'll have to figure that out later. This is separate from the kit, but it's a boost gauge that I bought because I wanted to be able to know. This is a controller. This is an oil filter relocation kit. It wants us to relocate that. This might be, I don't know, for, I have to check and look into it, but I think it's for hooking up to the boost, to measure the boost. It didn't come with this. This is an oil cooler. Got these headers here. The welds all look pretty good. Welded on the inside. Looks like they could have welded it on the outside right there. They welded all the other sides. It's got an oil catch can and a turbo timer. I think those are pop-offs. Have to look into that. So nothing's labeled, and there's no instructions. That's the turbo timer. This is another gauge. I don't think it came with the kit. I had to buy this too. Or maybe it did come with the kit. Maybe I don't need that boost gauge. So now I got two of them because I didn't know exactly what all came in the kit. Oh, it's an oxygen sensor. I had to buy that separate. That's for air-fuel ratios. Comes with different gauges. So that's what that is. That's so I know my fueling's right. And I did have to buy that separate. This came with the kit. No, this I bought separate. Sorry, it's a dual stage boost controller. This is the boost controller that came with the kit. This, I can push a button and add more boost. Not that I don't know that I will, but that'll be neat to have. I got these separate 42-pound injectors, eBay injectors. This is the Holley Foxbody 5.0 main harness kit. And this is the map sensor, I believe, that I bought. That came separate. Yep, that's the map sensor. That's the injector harness. And this is the harness for my distributor. Because the computer isn't here yet, but I'm going to hook up the Holley Terminator X to it. I'll show you the turbo later in the video. I don't want to unwrap it right now, but that's it. Comes with, oh, there's the gaskets. So that's everything in the kit. I might have to buy more hose and a couple more fittings to get the oil return done. After carefully considering all the options and what a pain in the ass it'd be to take that oil pan down, I decided to start punching it. So I use this 3/8 tap And that's what I got so far. I've hit it a couple dozen times with that hand. Okay, I've hit it a couple dozen times with this tap, and that's the hole I have. And I'm considering going to a bigger tap because this taper is bottomed out and I don't want to split the hole 4 ways. And I used that hammer and a pair of pliers so I wouldn't hit my fingers. Yeah, I turned this easy out into an easy in. Punched it in that far. Yep. Now, instead of driving that in where I can't see, I'm going to use a bigger easy in and work my way up. Okay, I've reached about the end of this easy in. Guess I can go a little further. Go a little further and then I'll have to find something else to beat in there. And just about that far in. Feels like there's a bearing cap. We're getting there. Alright, so this is a 1/2 inch pipe extractor that I hammered in there. I'm going to turn that and see if that worked. Well, it'll be a 1/2 inch anyway. Alright, so I took this big easy out. It's the biggest one I got. And I cut it short to turn it into an easy in. And I'm going to put that in there and hammer it a little bit and then measure and hammer and measure until the tap fits. Okay. See how that curves in? That's creating a nice flat spot. Well, it's not completely flat, but now I got this so it's just about the right size, and I'm going to tap it and with a hammer and turn it until that threads in, and hopefully I haven't got it too big because I want it to push out the back and I want it to try to thread into the front here where it's kind of caved in like a bullet hole. Okay, that worked pretty good catching the threads, or the metal shavings. Guess all that's left to do is thread one in and see how it works. I'm afraid to cross thread. I think I better try to do this off camera. Alright, I've tried it several times and I've tapped it several times, and look, there's 3 solid threads there. And well, I haven't tried this yet, but I wanted to show you there's 3 solid threads there. Yeah, that's starting good enough to wrench her down. Alright, on this side, don't make the same mistake I did. that is probably the oil pump right there, and I bottomed out on it, so I had to move over. It's not under this, it's to the side of it that you need to do that. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to seal that hole. Okay, that one's in. Got pretty tight, and that one was even better. It got tight before it got all the way in. This one isn't all the way in, but it's pretty freaking close. But I don't think they're going to leak. That's pipe dope that you see. And this hole, I might just silicone that. I'm really kind of afraid that if I weld it, I'm gonna make it worse. So I guess I'll wait for silicone to, and it's easy enough to get to. I could just keep siliconing it, I guess. I don't know. All right, step one is complete. Now I can move on to maybe figuring out how to get the headers off. All right, after a cajillion hours and dropping my wrench a kabillion times and struggling to get on one little flat at a time with my open end wrench on each and every single bolt, and I had to remove 2 spark plugs in order to do it, and I had to cut a wrench and get real creative to get these inside ones, because once you get the wrench, once you get it turned so far, you're going to get into a spot where a regular 4-inch wrench won't work. But I got it finally, and it's just barely clearing the frame. At some point I might consider putting different motor mounts on so that it doesn't rub. But, well, that's one side. It took a whole bunch longer than I thought it would. Okay, fast spark plug changes are a thing of the past. We'll yet to see whether the wires are going to be able to route well. So be prepared to not be able to use a socket on that one, because it won't get in there. You have to use a closed-in wrench to change that plug. The rest of them, a socket will get on there, but not the ratchet. So you'll have to, you can put the socket on there, push it down, and then put a wrench on that. But the sockets, the ratchet's probably not going to work out on most of them. So that'll be fun. I'm having a fitment issue. This alternator either isn't in the stock location, or this kit isn't fitting. And then I got this IAC on the exhaust side, really close. I don't know if I'm supposed to relocate that or not, and I don't know if that's flippable. Maybe it's flippable, I don't know. I have to look into that. But it's way off. The bolt holes are way off. It's kind of hard to show you. Alright, so there's a couple things that if I'm going to try and make it work, because it doesn't seem to be fitting like the ad said it would. The whole engine has to come up about 3 inches. And I'm not sure how I'm going to accomplish that with motor mounts. That's an awful lot to come up. But it does look kind of low in the car. So it might be that the engine is low. That, the best I can tell, is where that one goes. The picture on the ad has this removed and it's angled off this way, which would move that if I bought a spacer that angles it. But the problem is this pipe wasn't exactly made for that to be angled, and the company says the pictures are not representative of the kit, so I can't go off the pictures. I bought it on Amazon. I don't think there's a 20% restocking fee at Amazon, but on their website there is, so that's how they're getting people. People aren't going to want to return it if they lose half their money. Well, it's not half, but 20%. Frick, man, that's a lot. Alright, aside from losing a 10mm socket into the abyss or another dimension or something, I got the alternator moved and I got this half-ass in. It's not in very good, but it should be sealed. And that goes down in there. So I'm gonna have to try to relocate the alternator and get the air conditioning out in order to make this work. I'm gonna have to put a vent there instead of the cap, probably, because the cap doesn't want to screw on with the turbo there. Well, this is pretty far from bolt right in, that I can say. Looks like the battery is going to have to be relocated. The power steering pump, it could probably stay, but I'd have to remove the turbo every time I want to put fluid in it. So I'm probably going to have to delete that, because there's only one bracket online and it moves, well, there's a couple, but there's only one bracket that moves it over here to where this is at, and that requires removing the power steering anyway. So now I'm going to need a new non-power steering steering rack. This is going to go bye-bye. This is going to go bye-bye. And I might as well put a new water pump on since I'm going to be that far. I might wind up, the exhaust is supposed to go down that way, but I might wind up taking it up out the hood. I don't know, because it's gonna go right by this here, and I don't want it to do that. And then it's gonna also be going right by these spark plugs or plug wires, so I might have to make a custom set and bring the spark plug wires down around and underneath and come up from the bottom. In fact, these might have to do that too, because they're right next to it. So there's a lot of stuff. I had to cut that, and hopefully that'll work. But I ordered a 90-degree, or not a 90, but a 45-degree spacer for here to turn that just a little bit, and hopefully that might help. There's no room over here, so swapping the valve covers isn't going to work. I'm going to probably have to figure out something with that valve cover. It's too bad it won't flip around, but I'll have to figure that out, because that's got to come, the whole intake's got to come off to do the fuel rail and the injectors anyway. So this is coming back off. So still lots to do, but it's mocked up anyway. Okay, I got that turbo in, if I haven't already made a video on that. Yeah, I did. I made a video on that. I broke off 2 bolts on the water pump. this one, and this one. I believe it was that one. So the timing cover has to come off. So that means this has to come off. It wouldn't have had to come off if I can get this one out, but this one broke back in here, so the timing cover has to come off. Great. Alright, I got one out with this. I had to break that one off because it was stuck in the timing cover, but that one came out with that. And that's stuck in there. So I'm gonna have to weld a nut. Got to weld a nut right there. Got a little off center there when I welded that. Well, I don't want that to fall in the oil pan. I better stop and use two hands. Okay, the timing cover's back on. Cleaned it up the best I could. Thought about painting it, but then I was thinking, well, I could just, you know, paint it after it's all put together and I can like power wash it or whatever. There's going to be plenty of room now. Yep. That's done. Alright, so I've come to the conclusion that I'm not going to get this done in just a couple days. That's the intercooler mounted. Right there. And there it is down there. And I kind of got it, you could call it half-assed, but for what it is, I think that's about as good as it gets. See, there's where it's mounted there and there on those plates. That's the best I could tell how it needs to go. Now, this tube here is gonna have to go there and there. See, so the turbo needs to be clocked down so that it'll meet up with that right there. Okay, so that's that one. Okay, this one goes right here, and see how that needs to be clocked to fit there. Okay, so that's that one. Now this one, this is too big. It likes to wrinkle a little bit right here. See? Okay, I'm gonna get an electric water pump. I spent all day doing this timing cover, and these are the in and out for the oil cooler, and then around the side here, see right there, that's a plug for the oil supply line, and right directly on the bottom of that spacer, there it is, I think you can see it, is the other plug, and that one is going to supply the other turbo with oil. So if I get this oil cooler on hoses and routed and put the oil cooler right in here somewhere, then I should be able to start this thing and move it out of the way at least.